Welcome back to the channel, boys and girls. This is my very first ever time representing the AFC and doing podcasts. So this will be our very first one, and I'm so excited to do it with y'all. Let's get into it. Very first division we're gonna head and do is the AFC West, which is my favorite team is in that division, the Kansas City Chiefs. Last year, back-to-back Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs did very well, even though at the beginning of the season and even during the middle and end of the regular season, they didn't do that well. This year, I think they're going to do much better, signing Juju Smith-Schuster and all the new receivers. Even though Hollywood Brown is expected to miss the first 2 weeks, I still think this Chiefs offense will do much better. Now, the only problem I would say on defense I have are the corners and all that, but even though that might be a little problem, I think we can still do good. And that way, I think the Chiefs are going to do 13-4 this season. Now, the worst team in the AFC West, I think, is going to be the Denver Broncos. This is a rebuild year for Denver. I wouldn't say I hate them as an NFL guy, but I hate them as a Chiefs fan. So I'm going to try to be honest and non-biased whatsoever. I just think the Broncos are in a rebuilding season with Sean Payton and Bo Nix. I think they're going to go 6-11. Bo Nix is a rookie. He's going to get some bumps and bruises here and there. We're just going to see how well that works out for them. Now, going to Las Vegas, Nevada. They signed and drafted a new rookie called Brock Bowers out of Georgia. Brock Bowers, I think, is going to be huge. Absolutely huge for this team in Las Vegas. They signed a new quarterback in Gardner Minshew. They still have Aiden O'Connell at quarterback. They signed Antonio Pierce for an actual coaching job. I think that's a great thing for the Raiders, in my opinion. They still need to continue on offense. Defensively, they still have Max Crosby. They added Christian Wilkins for Miami. That was a great signing from them, Las Vegas-wise. But if I'm Las Vegas, you're going against quarterbacks in the AFC West that are getting better and better, right? You got Mahomes. You got Justin Herbert, right? You might not need to go against Russell Wilson no more, but, Bo Nix is coming on the uprise, Speaking of Justin Herbert, though, going to Los Angeles, the Chargers, I don't think they're going to do too crazy. They did sign one of the Harbaugh brothers. They're going to do a lot better this year. They actually have a leader in the coaching staff room, so I think they're going to do a crud ton better. I just don't expect them to make the jump everyone thinks they are going to. I think they'll be around the 10-7 record range. Going for also back to Las Vegas, I don't see anything crazy. I just don't. I want to, but I can't see it. I think Las Vegas is going to have around 8-9 range. In Denver, same thing. I can't see much. 6-11. It's a rebuilding year. Last year, the Chiefs were obviously on top, and I think they still will be, especially in the AFC West. Bo Nix, I think he's gonna have a good future. I just don't know if it's gonna be with Denver. In all honesty, I don't know. The Chargers. My number one problem with the Chargers is that receiving room. I don't know if I can trust that receiving room. That receiving room scares me. They only have Johnston, and he was horrific last year. If not worse than any Chiefs receiver that we had last year that we have gotten rid of, including Kadarius Toney and MBS. But, overall, I think the AFC West is going to be a lot of fun to watch, especially since I'm a Chiefs fan. I think the Chargers and Raiders are on the uprise, while Denver is still going to be on uprise, just very slower. Now, that will be it for them. Now, AFC North. I have the Baltimore Ravens, number one, obviously. You could go either way with the top three, Cleveland, Cincinnati, or even Baltimore, right? But I'm going to just pick the safe pick, and I'm just going to go with Baltimore. Last year, it was Ravens, Browns, Steelers, Bengals. The reason why the Bengals didn't do that well is because of Joe Burrow. Speaking of Joe Burrow, I don't know if I can trust him. I really don't. I want to so much. But if he keeps on getting hurt, this Bengals team isn't going to be able to do much at all. I hate saying it because I love their offense. Their offense is dangerous. Their offense has been able to control the game. Looking at you, AFC Championship versus the Chiefs, right? But, even then, Joe Burrow has been able to control this offense with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Now, they did lose Tyler Boyd to the Tennessee Titans. Yes, that is true. I think they can still do plenty with this offense. And yes, they lost Joe Mixon to the Houston Texans. Yes, that is true. I still think Cincinnati will do fine. I just don't believe they'll be a top seed. So I think they're going to be landing around the 10-5, 11-6 range. If I got that right. No, it would be 10. It would be 10-7. Yeah, 10-7 range. I can see them being around the 10-7 range, 11-6 range. But I can't really see anything higher. Now going below them, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Nothing crazy here. I'm gonna just take it as the same as last year, in all honesty. Pittsburgh, they've been doing well, just not well. They've done good, right? But they haven't done good enough to where I can say, oh, this team's gonna be a Super Bowl contender. So I still have them doing what they normally do best, and that's having a little bit of a winning record, right? But I just can't see them going beyond the wild card round. Until I see it, I will not see it. So we're just gonna put it to that. Cleveland Browns, I think they're a fine team. They're gonna have Nick Chubb in about 4 to 6 weeks. I also drafted them in one of my fantasy leagues, so that'll be nice to watch. But I think Cleveland will be fine, just as long as Deshaun Watson gives them just slightly, back to what he was in Houston. He's been injury prone for a lot. And if you would have told me that Joe Flacco would have taken this Cleveland Browns team to the playoffs last year, I would never have believed you in a million years. So that will be fun to watch in Cleveland, seeing Deshaun Watson come back and hopefully actually prove the haters wrong. That will be fun to watch. Now going to Baltimore, Lamar. Week 1 versus Mahomes. This is going to be one of his most revenge-watched games, memory-wise, for Lamar, probably of all time. Other than any playoff game, this is probably the most hyped regular season game of all time for Lamar. If I'm Lamar, I'm thinking, go to Arrowhead, beat Mahomes, make sure that we can get a certified spot and take advantage. Do what we couldn't last year. Zay Flowers isn't a rookie no more. You got Lamar Jackson back. You got Mark Andrews back. Everything on offense is fine. So I wouldn't be scared on offense. Defensively, you're still same. You have Justin BK still. He's a great guy to have. So I think Lamar and all this AFC North will be fine. Now going to the AFC South. This one is a wild bunch, in my opinion. A lot of teams, a lot of players, a lot of fans don't think the AFC South is that entertaining. I think it's super entertaining. If you ask me, you have these teams that are all bunched up together with these close records. You see that with the AFC North, just like what we talked about earlier. But with this, they're not as good. Respectfully, we gotta give them props, but they're not as good. But it's still entertaining to watch. There was a game in Houston to where the Jaguars beat them last year and upsetted them. Even though Houston was way better than Jacksonville last year. So that's going to be exciting to watch, in my opinion. Just being able to see all these teams potentially be able to have one win versus this conference. The Titans could potentially beat every single team in this division, other than maybe the Texans, but I could still see them potentially beating Houston, maybe in a primetime game or something, if CJ Stroud's not doing that well. Speaking of CJ Stroud, in my opinion, is a top candidate for MVP this year. I think he is. Some people don't. I think he is, with Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, all those great quarterbacks. I think CJ Stroud is up there. I really legitimately do. Now, CJ Stroud, he's going to have a lot of fun down there with those receivers he has. He has Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, Nico Collins. He has all those receivers. That's going to be a lot of fun for CJ Stroud, and I'm going to have a lot of fun watching this Houston Texans team, because 5 years ago, they had a quarterback named Deshaun Watson that we just talked about with Cleveland, so Houston being able to translate from Deshaun to CJ Stroud this quickly is actually really surprising and really awesome for this Texans team. And if I was a fan of Houston, I would be on that hype train, and I would say we could go all the way this year, unlike somebody in the NFC. Now, going to Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence has had a non-good career, I'd say. He's had one solid year, and that was the year that he lost to the divisional round to the Chiefs. Now, I don't know if he'll ever make it back. I want him to, because I really like the kid. He's a really good quarterback, so it would be exciting to see Trevor Lawrence be able to come back with this team and see what he can do. Now going to Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee, the Tennessee Titans. You got Will Levis. You got DeAndre Hopkins. You signed Tyler Boyd from Cincinnati. You got Tony Pollard. So you have all these players. You have L'Jarius Sneed. So if you're going to be signing these players and try to rebuild this way, you have to see something. And I do have them seeing something. Definitely not as bad as what people think in 5 wins. I think they can reach 7. I think they can. Can I see them getting 10? Not gonna lie, no, I cannot. But I can see them getting 7 max. The Colts, Anthony Richardson, love the quarterback. I think he's gonna have a phenomenal year this year. Do I think he'll make the playoffs? Maybe. There's a clear shot he could. I have the Colts and Jaguars tying here. We'll just have to see how that works out in Indianapolis. They got a great receiver room in Adonai Mitchell, Michael Pittman Jr., Josh Downs. I think their receiving room is great, and I think this AFC South is going to be a lot of fun to watch this year. Going on to the AFC East, this division has a lot of explosion indeed, and we're going to go down south to Miami. The Miami Dolphins last year lost in the wild card against the Chiefs as the 7th seed. Now, the game before that, it was versus Buffalo at Miami, and they really could have easily won that game, but they didn't. And that was really surprising to me when I was watching that game. And so now that Miami has somewhat experience in the playoffs, even though it was in a very cold playoff game at Arrowhead, but they still have experience. So they still have Tua, they still have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane. They have all these guys. I think they'll be perfectly fine. The Bills got worse. The Patriots got worse. The only team that I would say I would be worried about is the Jets. So everything in Miami is fine, in my opinion. I think they're going to smooth on in the playoffs easily. Now, speaking of the Jets, Aaron flippin' Rodgers. You got Rodgers back, fully healed, hopefully, from that ACL joint, I think it was. So he's going to be fully back. Let's just hope he can play longer than 4 snaps. Okay? That's my goal for Aaron Rodgers. Just play long enough for 4 snaps and get at least a couple of points for your team. And I don't care how much you get. But New York, they did really well with a backup quarterback in Zach Wilson. Let's be honest here. He scored 10 points. They got multiple wins. So they did fine. And I think do I think New York is a Super Bowl team? No. I'm going to say that right now. I do not think New York is a bona fide Super Bowl contender team. I don't see that in the near future for New York. Now Buffalo, another team that has had their door slammed shut. Their door is basically slammed shut, saying bye-bye Super Bowl because we're not going to want you. Buffalo is not going to get a Super Bowl and is not going to get one anytime soon until they get another receiver like Stephon Diggs. They have Kai Coleman, drafted from FSU. Cool. Great guy. You have Josh Allen, which is a crazy quarterback that has a crazy arm, right? I just don't know how well Josh Allen can do. We don't know. we really do not know how well Josh Allen can do with this new offense. Because before even Diggs was staying in Buffalo, Josh Allen wasn't even that great. He would take him to the wild card and stuff, but he wasn't even that great. But then once Diggs came, they went to the AFC Championship. They went to the divisional round, which is where you have the iconic Chiefs versus Bills game in overtime, where that changed everything. So you have all of that, but I just don't know. And another team that I just don't know about is the New England Patriots. They have had it hard throughout these past 5 to 6 years without Mr. Tom Brady, and I see them going 5-12 this year. They're also in a rebuilding year. They just drafted Drake May, which is one of the few rookies in the AFC that will be starting. So I don't know how I can see Drake May and this New England Patriots doing. They have a new coaching regime, and all that in New England. I don't know how that's going to go. So overall in the AFC East, I have basically the same exact thing as it was last year, just the Bills in the third, and the Dolphins in first, and the Jets in second. Last year, it was the Bills, Dolphins, Jets, Patriots. The Bills and Dolphins could have been flipped if Miami beat them, but that will have to do it today. I really do appreciate y'all being here with us today. I'll make another one for the NFC. That'll be a crud ton of fun, and it's your boy Nash. I got a dash, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.